Hello and welcome to Boredom State. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Boris.
And here we are doing another build video. This one's a little bit different from the ones we've done before because instead of picking a class, we're picking a build type. The build type that we're using here was one that was suggested to us, so we're giving it a try, and we've got a very different idea of what to do here. And mine's a little experimental because of an FAQ thing, and his is different.
It has to be different.
It's got to be different to have more fun.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do this the same way we normally do. So we're going to start by talking about what race did we pick.
So I picked. Well, we should mention by request it was an archer, a desert archer that hunts undead.
Yes, an archer of some sort that also happens to be using desert and happens to be possibly fighting a distinct amount of undead.
Yes.
But not exclusively and possibly not exclusively, but you know, it is what it is. So, start where we start.
I started with halfling, and I went with the gutsy halfling because those undead cause the emotional fear, and you get a bonus.
Oh, well, that's a fun idea. I went with a dwarf. I went with a dwarf, and the dwarf that I went with is a Death Warden, who specifically is, he gets resistances to necromancy.
Very nice.
And I just was like, I don't want to pick another half thing, because we always pick a half thing, so I wanted to do something else.
That is true. We have had too many human aspects.
Yeah, so too many human things, I just wanted to do something different. And when you're playing an archer, how fast you move doesn't matter as much.
Exactly.
So, halfling, dwarf.
Yes.
Alright, when we also just said what our ancestry was as well, since I went with the Death Warden and you went with...
Gutsy.
Gutsy.
Yes.
Alright, so, we can also talk about what our first level ancestry feat was, because we're there.
Right. I grabbed the halfling luck.
Always a good thing. What does it do?
If you fail a skill check or a saving throw, you get to re-roll, but you have to keep the second roll.
That can be very useful. What I took was Rock Runner. Depending on how you read Rock Runner, it basically says something along the lines of, whenever you're on Earth or Rock, you can move more... What's the best way to say it? So here, Rock Runner. Your innate connection to stone makes you adept at moving across uneven surfaces. You can ignore difficult terrain caused by rubble and uneven ground made of stone and earth. So the question, of course, at that point says, what does sand count as?
Right.
Because it basically makes it so that when you're trying to balance on uneven terrain, which is what the desert terrain specifically counts as, you wouldn't take some of the minuses because of the fact that you are more steady. So I thought that was a nice way of doing it, and again, that would be kind of a GM decision, but either way, I think it's a cool idea.
Yes, definitely.
Because desert doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be walking on the sand. It could very well mean that you're just walking on the very dry ground.
Yes.
So that was the idea there. So the next thing that we would probably talk about is what background we chose.
Yes. Well, since he did say it's... going against undead, I went with an Undead Hunter type,
okay.
So I went with the Hunter background. Plus it gives you the Dex and Wisdom.
Seems like a good plan. I went Scout, because Scout also is Dex Wisdom. So we went in the same basic direction there, and Scout also makes it so that you get the Survival, because remember, we were kind of going with a Ranger theme without picking Ranger class.
Right.
And we'll get into that right now. So first, what class did you actually pick for this build?
It's an Undead Hunter. Cleric.
Undead Hunter, pick a Cleric. I went with a different build. I went Fighter.
Nice.
And there's a couple reasons why. So why did you choose Cleric?
So definitely to do the healing and damaging the undead aspects, which definitely works. And also I went with the priest warrior, or warrior priest.
Warrior priest, right?
Yes.
Because then you get proficiency with things, and
yes,
that makes it so you...
with weapons. And he wanted a range aspect, so based upon the god, I went with a ranged weapon.
See, that makes a lot of sense. I went with as effective as of a combat character as you can make. And fighters are the only characters that they start as expert instead of trained in all weapons, in all martial weapons. So if you're taking a longbow, you're already better at it than every other class is.
Yep.
You get master before every other class does. You get legendary when most classes don't even get legendary.
Yep.
So you hit so much more effectively as a fighter than you do as every other class.
Yep. And that would be great on single fighter combat.
I've got some feats that make it so I can do some really fun things against multi-targets as well.
Ooh, we'll get to that.
So we'll get to that in a bit. But first, that gets us to our classes now. What other the first level choices did you make? You went warrior priest. What other first level choices do you get?
So you get the deadly simplicity as part of your benefit as a warrior priest, which makes you automatically an expert, I believe, in your god's weapon.
Oh,
and I went.
That sounds excellent.
I went with Abdor because his god's weapon is a crossbow.
Nice, nice. So you automatically start as an expert.
Yeah. Let me confirm, because I think it's either at this level or 7th level, but Deadly Simplicity. So your deity is especially powerful in your hands. When you are wielding your deity favor, increase the damage die size of the weapon by 1 step.
That's great.
And if your deity favorite weapon is... and it's not. So it just increases the damage by 1 step. It's later on that you become an expert faster.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get expert automatically for being a fighter. There isn't really any specific fighter things I get to pick at level 1 because fighters aren't that... they're not that special.
Right.
But they do things better than everybody else. So that's the thing. Alright, so last thing for level 1, what's your starting stat line?
So my starting stat line is, you know me, I don't like any negative. So my free bonus for the race went back into strength, but after everything, I ended up with 10 strength, 16 dex,
Okay.
12 con,
Right.
18 wisdom, and 12 charisma.
I think you skipped intelligence.
Oh, 10 intelligence. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do not mind whatsoever having an 8 in the stats, so I have an 8 charisma. 12 strength, 18 dex, 14 con, 12 intelligence, 14 wisdom, and 8 charisma.
Yes.
Because since my build kind of goes towards the idea of being ranger-like as well, since a lot of the skills I went are ranger-based, I want to make sure I have a high wisdom, and you'll see that as you go higher in level.
Right.
So, I guess at that point, the next thing we need to talk about is what our level 1 class feat was.
Yes. So the level 1 class feat was Healing Hand.
Healing Hand. I know what that does, but for our audience, what does that do?
So your positive energy is even more vibrant and restorative. When you cast heal, you roll d10s instead of d8s.
Right, so you do d10s instead of d8s for healing.
Yes.
Now, you don't get the extra heals because of the fact you didn't go the casty type,
Right.
but at the same time, you do still get spells,
Right.
and you can always just choose to memorize some heals.
And because it changes the die roll and doesn't exclude the damage aspect, when you damage undead, you would roll d10s.
That's right, which is excellent.
Yes.
So you have a d10 first level spell that goes and deals damage against undead straight off, which is pretty strong. My first level feat is a simple one, point blank shot. Sorry. Point blank shot. What point blank shot does is says if you have a volley weapon, you don't take a penalty for being within the volley range. And if you don't have a volley weapon, then you do 2 extra damage if you're in your first range increment.
Yes.
So that also makes it so you can choose between taking a longbow or a composite longbow. Because of the eventual addition to strength, because I will have my strength get higher, it does give you the option to do either one. But honestly, I think they both have their advantages. And I feel overall taking the composite with the longer range is going to end up being a positive in the long run.
Yep.
So that's for level 1. Level 2, what did you take?
For level 2, turn undead.
Turn undead. How does that work in this edition? Because it changes all the time.
So, yes. But with this, if the undead took damage, each undead that is your level or lower, that critically fails, its save gains the fleeing condition for 1 round.
Yeah, critically fails, though.
I know.
But it's different, and it's cool, and that's the point.
With an 18 wisdom, they do have to roll.
I mean, it's still hard to critically fail. Even with a high wisdom, you're probably still only critically failing on a 1, maybe on a 1 or a 2.
Well, no, not for the undead you hit at first level. You're looking at probably a 6.
Either way, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is that if they roll low, then good things happen. If they don't roll low, then nothing special happens. Now, here is where I go into the different Ren. At level 2, I took Ranger Multiclass. Ranger Specialization. What Ranger Specialization does here is it gets me Survival, which I already had because because I'm a scout. So it got me an extra skill. What it also does, and here's the argumentative point about this, is it gets you the Ranger class feature of Hunt Target, or Hunt Prey. Now, what Hunt Prey does is completely, based on what the base of Hunt Prey does, is completely role-playing based. It gives you bonuses to perception, it gives you circumstance bonuses to find them, to seek them, it gives you bonuses to track them. The reason why I say it's completely role-playing based is because as a ranger, when you hunt prey a target, you also get Hunter's Edge. And you would choose your Hunter's Edge based on your character. However, Hunter's Edge is not mentioned anywhere in the multi-class abilities. A lot of the special abilities that you get at level 1 like that you can take an additional feat to get. Or it comes with what comes with it at first level. It is not written anywhere. It's not written in the FAQs. I've looked in several dozen places, and I found absolutely nothing. So, I guess it would be up to GM's discretion, because if you have Hunter's Edge, then it's super strong. And if you do it the other way, which is make it so that you can take a feat later to gain Hunter's Edge, it's still worth it later on, even if you weren't able to get the higher level versions of it, which is what I would do if I was going to be asking the GM. I would say, can I take another class feat, have the equivalent of sneak attack or other character class feats that gives you like that? Like the Barbarian Rage the version. When you go Barbarian for multi-class, you get Rage, and you choose one of the aspects. But you don't get any of the bonuses of the aspect.
Right.
You have to take an additional feat to get the bonus.
Yes.
So if that existed for Ranger, then this is 100% worth it. And if it doesn't, then it's not.
Yes.
However, I wanted to have this be a fighter Ranger and not just go with another Ranger build, since we've already done that video.
Right.
So that's the reason why I'm going with that.
Right.
And I will have a difference between 8th and 10th level abilities based on whether you would get Hunter's Edge or not.
Right. Totally makes sense.
Sorry for the long explanation, but it's necessary to be able to understand what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
So, we as in general are going to skip general feats and skill feats.
Right.
If you want to know what general feats and skill feats we took, you can always ask that in the comments. I'm sure I'm perfectly willing to answer that.
Yeah,
but most of the ones that I took are based on survival, stealth, acrobatics, and nature.
Right.
Like, it's all trying to make it so that it stays within the terrain thing and the stealth thing for quiet allies, because it's a very useful skill.
Yep.
So I guess next would be level 5 for our
next.
Well, it's the next stat buff, and it's also for the next racial bonus.
Right. So the next staff buff, I went with strength still 10, dex still 18. Dex now 18, con now 14, intelligence now 12, wisdom still 18, and charisma 14.
My strength went up from 12 to 14, dex went up from 18 to 19. Constitution went from 14 to 16, intelligence stayed at 12, wisdom went from 14 to 16, and charisma stayed 8. I'm a dwarf and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So, and for level 5, what did you take as a?
They don't have great choices, so I went with cultural adaptability. It's the next best choice is at level 9, but cultural adaptability during your adventures, you've honed your ability to adapt to the culture of the predominant ancestry around you. You gain the adopted ancestry general feat, and you also gain 1 first level ancestry feat from the answers you choose for the adoptive ancestry feat.
That's very good. Which one did you take?
Well, I went with the orc hardened.
Okay. Difference.
Yes. Just to give you a little bit.
I'm sorry. Wait. The predominant area where this halfling is traveling is Orclands?
Yeah. Look, the choice of race is not that big.
Sure. I went with Boulder Roll.
Look. Frodo and Bilbo traveling through.
You know what? It's weak, but it's okay. I went with Boulder Roll. Boulder Roll makes it so that if we're standing on Earth, I can enter someone's square and push them backwards.
Right.
Because I basically tell people to bugger off because I'm a dwarf.
Right.
Next, level... 6. Oh, we skipped to level 4 feet. My apologies.
No, we did. I grabbed...
Turn Undead was 2. We skipped
sorry. So, you're right. Level 4, you can go either with the... Because I wanted the ranger aspect. So you can even... For me, it was sort of a hard decision, but... At level 4, whether to grab the ranger or the cleric, but I got the control channeling, which changes your channeling from a 30-foot around you to a 60-foot column.
Okay, is it a choice or is it you have to do the column?
No, you can choose.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent feat. When I was doing the play test, my clerics always took it. It was freaking annoying.
Yes.
I had to run it. There was one part of the play test where you're playing all clerics and paladins. It was annoying.
Yes.
Anyway, my 4th level 1, and the reason why I remembered is because my 6th level 1 kind of goes off my 4th level 1. My 4th level 1 is called Double Shot. Basically what Double Shot does is it takes 2 actions and it allows me to shoot at 2 different targets.
Right.
And the best part is it gives you a -2 to hit each target. However, the multi-shot penalty doesn't come into play until after you take the shot.
Right.
So it's amazing in that it makes it so that because you're a fighter and you're already better to hit than anyone ever anyway, you can take 2 attacks at everyone else's same attack value.
Right.
As 2 actions, which means that you're probably going to hit more often than anyone else does. And that's the reason why I took the level 4 one. The level 6 one goes straight into that because level 6 one is called Triple Shot.
Yes.
Triple Shot gives you, now with Double Shot you specifically have to target 2 different creatures. Right. With Triple Shot you have 2 options. One, you can choose to shoot 1 creature with it twice. So with Double Shot it's more specific. It says with Double Shot you make 2 strikes, each against a separate target with a -2 penalty. Both attacks count towards your multiple attack penalty, but the penalty does not increase until after you've made both of them. With Triple Shot, you quickly fire multiple shots with greater control. When you use Double Shot, you can make the attacks against the same target. You can then add an additional action to make 3 attacks instead of 2, and if you do, the penalty changes from -2 to -4. But you can basically go 3 attacks, and if you want to, you can do 3 attacks against a single guy without taking a minus penalty. So you can take 3 attacks where you're actually probably going to hit all 3 times. And I think that's amazing.
Yes.
So what's your level 6 feat?
Level 6 is the ranger.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
That you kind of,
Yep.
So, level 8, what do you got?
So level 8, it was, again, sort of a choice between which direction I wanted to go. Because we are going with the range, I decided that this was the better time to take the basic hunter trick and the crossbow ace from the ranger.
Okay, what does crossbow ace do?
So if I'm doing the hunt prey, or use interact to reload your crossbow, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to the damage roll on your next strike with the crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
And if the crossbow is a simple crossbow, also increase the damage die size for that attack by 1 step. And I already increased the damage size.
Yes, and that's the problem. If you go through the rules, you'll find out you cannot increase the damage die twice. So
right.
the D8 goes to a D10, and the D10 stays a D10. But the thing is, you still get +2 to damage, which is still pretty damn good.
Yes.
Crossbow ace, I love the idea of being a crossbow ranger. If I was going to make a ranger for a game, I would make a crossbow ace / pet ranger.
Right.
And I think it'd be enormous amounts of fun, but that is beside the point.
Yeah.
For level 8, for a level 8 for me is going to actually again be based on what the ruling would be, because again, what I said is if you had, it would be the same way as the barbarian one would.
Right.
I would now take the level 8 feat to use it to gain Hunter's Edge, if that was possible.
Right.
And if that wasn't possible, then what I would do with my level 8 feat is I take an ability called a mobile shot stance.
Right.
Now, mobile shot stance is basically I can now make attacks of opportunity with my bow.
Okay. So
if someone if someone sets an attack of opportunity off, I do it with the bow.
Yes. Now, would you, the things that allow you for attack and opportunity, people have to be within your attack range, right?
It still has to be moving out of my threatened square and all that. It still has to be the 5 feet.
Right.
But I get to shoot them instead of hit them with a melee weapon because I've got a bow.
Right.
And because it has a reload of speed of 0, I can always have it be reloaded automatically.
Yes.
Which means that I get to make attacks of opportunity with a bow.
Yes. It's definitely worth it.
Go up to a caster and be like, I dare you to cast. I'm going to shoot right in front of you.
That lich casters, yes.
Yeah. Alright, level 10.
So, we're still hunting undead, so I went with the level 8 feat of ceramic undead, which if I damage them, they go with my channel, they are set on fire.
Ah, so you get to burn them when you channel.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
And when you say channel, you of course mean using the 3 action version of shield.
Exactly.
That's a very cool ability. I like that concept.
Yes.
So what I did with level 10 is going to again be completely based on what happens with the way your GM decides it.
Right.
Favorite enemy undead from the ranger class.
Nice.
Amazing. Because it makes it so that you get to use your Hunter's Edge, or you get to use the Hunt Prey for free. Right. If it's against an undead creature, because at this point I'm finally bringing undead into it.
Right.
And that's very cool. If you don't get Hunter's Edge with it, though, there's no reason to bother.
Yes.
Which means, if you don't get Hunter's Edge with it, you instead will still take a Ranger feat, but now you'll go for Favored Terrain.
Yes.
Because Favored Terrain is ridiculous in the desert. You have it open on that page.
Yes.
Read Favored Terrain Desert.
So Favored Terrain Desert is you need to eat and drink only 1/10 as much as usual.
Yeah.
You aren't affected by severe extreme heat, and you can walk along sand or, at full speed without needing to balance.
Yeah, see, that's amazingly cool.
Yes.
And I thought that would be a really neat idea, but again, I can't take it if the Hunter's Edge thing's going to work, because that just rounds out the combat effectiveness of this character. So that's what I did for level 10. Now we've got to go back and do our level 9 Ancestry feat, and go with our final stat block, but that'll basically be it.
Yes, so at level 9 I took the continuation of the luck aspect, which reads...
Oh, right, yeah. Very cool.
Yes. Which reads, Guiding Luck. Your luck guides you to look the right way and aim your blows unerringly. You can use Halfling Luck twice per day, once in response to its normal trigger and once when you fail a perception check or attack roll instead of the normal trigger.
Seems good. I went with Mountain Stoutness because I kind of think of like mountains being in the desert sometimes too. Mountain Stoutness, what it does is increase your maximum, decrease the DC of recovery checks when you have the dying condition by 1. If you have Toughness, it stacks. And the decrease of the recovery checks is now by 4. So if you take toughness, which I may have taken, because this boy's got a lot of hit points.
Yes.
Yeah, because remember, you're a fighter, you got D10 hit points, and you're a dwarf, so you got D10 from that too. So yeah, I went with being very, very hardy and sturdy.
Yes.
Finally, what is our final stat line?
So my final stat line is strength of 12.
Oh, you went up to 12.
Yes. Dex of 18. Con of 16. Intelligence of 14. Wisdom of 18. And charisma of 16.
You went very balanced.
Yes.
But you don't have a 20.
No, I do not have a 20.
Don't have a 20. 14 strength, kept it at 14. 20 dex, gotta get that 20.
Yes.
18 con, hardy.
Yes.
14 intelligence, get that extra skill point. 18 wisdom, because I'm basically a ranger. And I spit on you, I've got to get a charisma of 8.
Yes. Clearly you are great against 1, 2, maybe 3 undead, and if I get hoarded with a zombie or skeleton horde, you want to stand behind me.
Yeah. Oh, with the zombie or skeleton horde, you just go away. And also, because of the fact that your heal checks don't use saving throws and not
Right.
attacks, it doesn't affect your ability to attack them as well. So you can have your loaded crossbow shoot and be able to do a range 30 attack on a single undead, so you can make 2 attacks and not have any range penalties.
Yes.
So your build has a lot of very cool things to it, but for being able to do massive output on a single round, probably not that high. But at the same time, you have a great effectiveness in being a cleric.
Yes.
That gives you that whole spell selection thing, which we haven't even talked about.
Right.
Because that will take forever. Pick your own spells. We can only give you, again, if you want spell suggestions, ask in the comments. We're not going to go any further than that. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. We had fun making these characters. I had an entire ranger build that I really liked, but we don't have time to do that many builds.
Right.
I like building everything, so...
So, like, subscribe, leave a comment on what you would like to see next. Ask us for a recommendation on a character you're building. We will provide one. And this is Boredom Sated. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.